The story of Five Nights at Freddy's security breach is not good. It consists of several hours of running from one place to another to get this or that item with no clear end goal. You literally just do things to kill time until the game suddenly ends. It's a story that is desperately trying to tell you something important, but due to issues and time constraints on the developer's side, never gets anywhere close to meeting its full potential. There are hints of interesting themes, deep character relationships, and an actual plot laced throughout the game that never get realized nearly as well as they could be, and that makes me sad. So over Christmas I asked myself, what would the modern FNAF games be like with the more linear and cinematic storytelling of a TV show? And I had a few ideas. And then I had more. And more. And then I blacked out, and when I awoke there was a 10,000 word document titled The FNAF Show on my computer with no recollection of how it even got there. And if I'm being honest, this little project is something I've had immense fun working on, to the point where I feel like it'd be a waste if I didn't do something with it. Spearheading my own cartoon show is a lifelong dream of mine, but it's not something I feel like I'd be able to accomplish anytime soon. I don't have anywhere near enough professional experience in the arts to even consider pitching my own work, let alone something based off such a massive IP. I'd crack under the pressure immediately. So instead of letting it rot in my brain as a failed dream for all eternity, I'm presenting it to you to leave hate comments under. I hope you enjoy. A few quick disclaimers before we begin. 1. I'm just as confused about the FNAF lore as all of you are, and I will definitely get some things wrong. This is just my interpretation of events, and I've taken a couple liberties here and there to make things feel a little more compelling. 2. The next FNAF game will probably make 80% of this non-canon compliant the second it comes out, but we stay silly. 3. This is my first proper YouTube video, and I'm flying by the seat of my pants here, so please bear with me. I'm doing my best. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Okay? Okay. 4. I'm not a professional writer or anything, if that wasn't obvious. I do this as a hobby, and I'm big enough to admit that this whole thing is just glorified fanfiction. I could reasonably expand it into prose and post it on AO3 as a canon retelling, but I thought this would be more fun. The gameplay footage you see in this video is from the Security Breach Cut Content Restored mod by FredMilk, which adds, as you guessed it, locations and other features that were cut from the game during development. I played through this mod while working on this project, and I directly based the layout of the Pizzaplex on it. I am not adapting any of the mod exclusive missions or anything, but all the new locations and changes to the map this mod offers were specifically implemented in various points of Security Breach's development and left in the game files, so I think that part's fair game. To be clear, this interpretation of Security Breach uses open airlocks instead of elevators, and will utilize rooms and utilidors not seen in the released game. But I think including all these unused locations makes the Pizzaplex feel like a more connected, grounded, and realistic space. But yeah, please go check out the Cut Content Restored mod. The link will be in the description. I'm completely obsessed with it, and it's made me fall in love with Security Breach all over again, which I didn't think was even possible because I have a separate lobe of my brain dedicated to this game. Every time FNAF gets a new entry, I glance at it for 2 seconds and then immediately pivot to freaking out over Security Breach all over again, like I'm stuck in a December 2021 Groundhog's Day time loop. It's literally not even good, and I can't stop. I think I need help. Interspersed with the gameplay are speed paints I did of some loose character redesigns. It's nothing fancy, I just spruced up Vanny, Gregory, and someone you'll see later in the video to give them a little more sauce and separate them from the source material. Mostly I just kind of smeared dirt all over them because I know neither of those idiots have showered in months. So without further ado, I present Modern Five Nights at Freddy's, the animated series. My working title is Security Breached, with an exclamation point because I couldn't think of anything better. Since this series directly adapts Steel Wool era games whose storyline has yet to wrap up, I have no idea how long this series would realistically be. But my outline's got 2.5 seasons done. The first season is just a direct adaptation of Security Breach and is fully serialized, with each episode picking up where the last one left off. After that, the series becomes a little more self-contained and episodic while still following an underlying plot. Think of how The Owl House and Avatar handle their serialization. My Season 1 outline is way too detailed, and the next two are far less fleshed out. I figured the second half of Season 3 could just pick up from whatever game comes out next. I'm not adopting Secret of the Mimic into this, but it still has a little relevance. The show, of course, is both sci-fi and supernatural in nature. It's less outright horror and more adventure story with dark elements. Light on violence and gore for the most part, though there will be some blood, while still giving upsetting scenarios or deserved emotional weight. It sort of devolves into Scooby-Doo with a strong emotional core. Our story follows Glamrock Freddy, Gregory, and Vanessa as they fight against the Mimic and investigate the dark history of Fazbear Entertainment. When they're not experiencing psychological torment in the Mega Pizzaplex, the three are gallivanting around Utah as amateur paranormal investigators and navigating life together as a newfound family. To kick off Season 1, here's my little Gregory redesign. His game design is honestly really boring to me. Hopefully they'll save him up a bit in the next game. If Cassie can get a redesigned model, he can too. I'm not hoping you are. I didn't make any major changes, I just adjusted some colors, gave him a Freddy themed hoodie to make his palette feel more cohesive with the Pizzaplex design. I made his socks extra baggy and had one sag down for a touch of asymmetry. He's got a bandage around his leg. I had this awful idea that he's been bandaging his wounds with that shitty sandpapery one-ply toilet paper for the Pizzaplex bathrooms, but then I wrote in a scene later where he does actually hurt his leg and gets it properly bandaged, so that could go either way. I made his hair into a longer, super greasy, unkempt sort of mullet that he definitely cut himself to give him more of an 80s look. He's got eye bags that get bigger every episode and he's just generally covered in dirt. His canon design doesn't really scream confused, formerly evil orphan who's been squatting in an amusement park like a rat for several months, so I mostly just wanted to drive that point home even better. I'm not an expert in character design by any means, but it's something I do really enjoy, so I hope you like it. I tried my best. Now, with all that out of the way, allow me to finally tell you about Season 1 of Security Breached. It's March 2035, and Freddy Fazbear's Mega Pizzaplex is as successful as ever. But the Glamrocks are starting a show, Gregory is skulking around the atrium, blending in with the crowd in the dim lighting and scraping food off of tables. Vanessa is looking around and spots him. She shouts and starts running after him, weaving through the crowd and yelling threats. Gregory yelps and sprints off. Freddy spots him in the crowd and receives conflicting commands that cause him to glitch out before collapsing. The crowd gasps and the show cuts short, music falling silent. The commotion distracts Vanessa and she loses track of Gregory. The shot lingers on Freddy before cutting to black with a slam. There's a brief title card sequence like 5 Nights at Freddy's Security Breach, written by blah blah blah, and then we get into it. The first episode follows the start of the game pretty closely. Freddy asks Gregory who he came to the Pizzaplex with and if they should call someone, and Gregory's like, I have no idea. Just casually forgets 98% of his memories. Gregory cuts his arm while crawling through the vents, and Freddy insists on bandaging it for him in the first aid station. Gregory is so not having it. Freddy is visibly distraught watching the animatronics chase Gregory on the cameras. Greg makes it to the main entrance at midnight just as it closes. With the lobby ominously looming before him, the first episode ends with Freddy's whole, if there is a way out, I will help you find it monologue. Something I want to note is that this show has no security bots, passes, or security badges, and no mandated hourly moon attack. There are a lot of features in this game that realistically should only exist in a gameplay setting that wouldn't really add anything to the story. The daycare attendant can freely roam the building and only turns into moon when entering dark spaces. The Pizzaplex also now runs on the model of a lot of real-life arcades, where you can enter and explore freely and only need to pay to actually play each game and attraction. So for example, you can freely walk into, say, Bonnie Bowl just to hang out, but you need to pay for a game of bowling. While the draconian, cartoonishly anti-consumer pass system is absolutely hilarious in the game, it's just a little too contrived for my taste. Most importantly, it gives our characters a reason to go into each area that isn't just get this item. Also, a quick mention, I know one of Freddy's lines and Tales from the Pizzaplex implies that there are multiple Mega Pizzaplexes, but for this story our location is the only one, and its destruction kind of halted any plans to build other restaurants. Honestly, the thought of there being multiple copies of the Glamrocks running around with the same personalities and different memories and relationships is too existentially terrifying for me to grasp at the moment, so we're just not going to acknowledge any of that. So with all that being said, Episode 2 is when we tackle the daycare. While Freddy is charging, he tells Gregory to wait for him in the daycare. The big door locks from the outside without clearance from staff or the daycare attendant, and Vanessa is unlikely to look for him in there. While Gregory is sneaking through the lobby, Chica spots him and chases him all the way to the daycare slide. He slides into the ball pit and looks up to see Chica frustrated that she can't follow him in. He sticks his tongue out at her and she storms off. Sun does his whole I don't know what personal space is routine as normal. Gregory sneaks to the office to steal the flashlight, just as the lights happen to go off. Chica has snuck back into the security office and manually turned off the lights to sick Moon on him. Freddy warns Gregory that it'll take him a few minutes to turn the lights back on. In the meantime, he must avoid Moon at all costs. Gregory looks over, terrified, sees Sun thrashing on the ground, making animalistic noises as he transforms. Sun desperately yells for him to stay away before Moon slinks off into the darkness. Gregory is chased around the jungle gym for a good few minutes until Freddy fixes the lights and now Moon is the one freaking out on the floor. Gregory lets Freddy into the daycare as Sun strolls up like nothing happened. The two explain their situation to Sun. Son wishes them well before skipping off to go train his circus fleas or whatever he gets up to. With Gregory in his stomach hatch, Freddy sneaks past the animatronics to the recharge station to recoup. While inside, Vanny skips past them, but of course Freddy can't see her. Episode 2 ends on a bizarre and ominous note. In Episode 3, our duo go to the East Arcade to check the VIP emergency exit. They go straight to the prize counter without doing the whole security section. Roxy and Monty are patrolling around the arcade, so the team splits up. Gregory will try the emergency exit, while Freddy distracts his bandmates if they go near the prize counter. The three end up locked in a casual conversation where Freddy is just sweating and lying his ass off trying to stop them from getting near Greg, and that somehow stalls them. The other two seem to be acting normally, but their words glitch and slur every so often. Roxy says she's feeling a little off. Monty urges Freddy to go charge since it's almost 1, and he can't catch the intruder if he's collapsed somewhere. Meanwhile, Gregory finds that the door won't open. As he's speaking into his Fazwatch, Vanessa sneaks up and freaking tases him in the back, causing him to shriek in pain. The animatronics hear this and go to investigate, with Freddy trailing behind and panicking. Gregory tries to fight Vanessa off, but she just tases him again and drags him off to the elevator. "Don't fight back," she says, then more softly, "It'll be over soon." She seems low on patience, anxious and like she hasn't slept well in months. The animatronics arrive just as the humans descend. Roxy and Monty are like, "Yeah, she got him!" Freddy sneaks off when the outlaw came to get to the lobby. As the clock strikes 1 a.m., Vanessa throws Gregory into Lost and Found while he cries from being tased. She tells him he's going to wait there while she calls the police, and then leaves to go put on her fursuit. While stern and forceful, her demeanor is riddled with anxiety and desperation. Gregory is scared and disoriented, weakly calling for Freddy while curled up on the floor. He gets his bearings and looks around the room. There's a phone on the desk. Why would Vanessa leave to call the cops when there's a perfectly good phone in here? He's got a bad feeling about this. He finds a newspaper from a few months ago. There are a few headlines that go ignored. One of them reads, "Murdered couple, missing son case still cold," but the main one says, 9 children now missing at Family Fun Center. Since the Mega Pizzaplex opened 3 years ago, 9 children have gone in for the evening and never came out. Vanessa's not calling the police. He's going to be next. Searching frantically, he finds a screwdriver, just as he starts to hear footsteps. There are interspersed shots of Vanny skipping down the stairs, but we don't see her face. Gregory unscrews the vent lids, and as he's crawling through, Vanny suddenly grabs his foot. He thrashes around enough to kick her in the face, letting him go and buying him a second as he sprints into the atrium. Freddy is bounding down to him as he enters, and they hug before Greg practically throws himself in the stomach hatch. Freddy runs to Roxy Raceway. It's a dark, secluded maze of construction work, so Vanny is unlikely to find them there. Freddy stumbles in his gate, battery dangerously low and vision turning to static. He should have been charging 15 minutes ago. As they reach the raceway, Freddy throws Gregory out and collapses. He instructs him to get a key for the manual stage lift in the backstage security office before passing out. The episode ends as Gregory enters a dark garage that leads to the rehearsal room. From this point onward, Freddy acts less stilted and more genuine as the gravity of the situation sinks in for him. Witnessing a child in active mortal peril is a catalyst forcing him to grow beyond his programming. In Episode 4, Gregory has a one-on-one trying to avoid Roxy in the warehouse garage with all the lockers in it. When Roxy spots him, Gregory runs into the VIP kitchen and goes toward the back, where there's a vent leading into the hallway. Roxy enters the kitchen and searches for him as he crawls through and hides in the locker. Roxy wanders to the lockers and checks them and seconds him as Gregory's soul leaves his body. Reasoning that he's not there, Roxy slams the locker and storms back toward the atrium. There are old cardboard cutouts of Glamrock Bonnie being stored in the rehearsal room that Gregory regards curiously. He gets backstage, and it's this sprawling, intimidating warehouse with forklifts and catwalks galore. He gets to the security office, and just as he finds the lift control key, Vanny remotely starts the whole "Have you ever heard of Among Us Gregory" sequence and locks him in the room. Only this time, Freddy doesn't have his second wind and won't come running to save him. The lights are flashing, the alarms are blaring, the power on the doors is running out. They'll come in at any moment. Gregory is panicking and realizes this is it. He's lost. As he braces for impact, the grate he's standing on suddenly falls away, sending him careening down, 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 right into Freddy's arms. Greg buries his head in his shoulder. He does not allow himself to break, though he's certainly teetering on the edge. "I was so worried," Freddy says, voice glitching. "I never should have left you alone for even a minute. I will never let you go again." Gregory is having a Category 5 orphan event. He's near silent, shaking with tired eyes and nearing his emotional limit. Freddy walks as quickly as he can to the atrium, though still stumbling about. They reach the atrium and take the lift right down to parts and services. There's no Showtime disc segment or anything, because, you literally just go up and back down. What is even the point? Moon emerges and menacingly skitters around the walls like the stink bug that was flying around my room when I wrote this. He cackles behind them as they reach the recharge station, and thinking quickly, Freddy shoves Gregory inside alone before collapsing. Gregory turns around to see Moon inspecting Freddy with concern before dragging him off the parts and services. Gregory doesn't see Moon's compassion though, he only sees his own fear. He screams and bangs on the glass, but it won't let him out. Falling to his knees, Gregory can't take the stress anymore and breaks down crying, alone. The episode ends. Episode 5 starts at 2 a.m. Gregory tries to get to Freddy in parts and services, but the door is locked behind an authorized personnel keycard. Yeah, so I was kind of lying when I said there was no, security badges and shit. I couldn't think of anything. He wanders aimlessly in search of it and ends up in the warehouse to endure the Endo Torment Nexus. There are only 10 Endos walking around though, and most are missing parts and barely functional. Gregory hears something, and in a secluded room he finds Vanessa huddled in a corner in a rare, fleeting moment of clarity. She's having some kind of breakdown, as if at war with herself. Vanessa notices him before he has time to run away, and they just kind of stare at each other, both afraid to move. Vanessa gasps. Gregory? Gregory takes a step back, ready to flee. Are you gonna tase me again? What? No, Vanessa trails off and then suddenly locks eyes with Gregory in horror. Gregory, you need to get out of here. Yeah, I think I got that part. Gregory rolls his eyes before realizing what it is she said. Wait, how do you even know my name? Vanessa is silent for a moment. You're Fazwatch, she lies. It kept repeating it, in Freddy's voice. Oh. Gregory takes another small step back. A beat passes. He's been helping you, hasn't he? Vanessa asks. Gregory is silent. I knew it, she sighs, with the barest hint of a smile. Vanessa shakily stands up, holding onto the wall as support. There's a sudden fire in her eyes. But it doesn't matter. You need to get back to him right now. He'll keep you safe. Gregory is confused. What is this? Are you tricking me? Vanessa is getting increasingly anxious and frustrated with herself. Ugh, there's no time. I wish I could help you, but I have to go. Go find Freddy. Have him take you to the raceway salon. She starts to walk away, but stops for a moment. Oh, and Gregory? If you ever see me again, run. It just wouldn't be Vanessa if she wasn't saying weird cryptic shit and then leaving, would it? Gregory wanders through the rest of the warehouse until he reaches the weird kitty room at the end, where the keycard is. Moon is hanging out in the corner but doesn't attack him. He tells Gregory he ought to get some rest since it's late and he looks exhausted. His tone is mocking, but there's some sincerity behind it. Gregory isn't willing to humor him and accuses him of kidnapping Freddy. Moon is genuinely confused for a second. He's like, bro, he was dead on the floor. I literally helped him, but whatever. Moon says he is not out to see Gregory be killed, but needs him allowed to fulfill some nefarious agenda. He's the wizard's favorite, after all. I know Moon and Dr. Rabbit were tight at some point, I just can't prove it. When Gregory makes it back to Parsons Services, Vanessa is evil again and talking to Freddy. She tells him outright that she knows he's been helping Gregory, and Freddy doesn't deny it. He no longer wants to humor her because of what happened at the prize counter. She tells him he's gotten to the end of the night to hand over Gregory or he's scrap. They'll slap his casing on a new endo and no one will ever know the difference. He's expendable. After she leaves, Gregory repairs Freddy and they take Roxy's elevator up to Rockstar Row. Gregory notes how cramped the elevator is. Freddy moves and immediately smacks him in the face and feels so bad about it. They get out, Gregory climbs into his stomach, and they walk into Roxy's room while she's having a breakdown. She's tearing at her hair and crying. The virus is making her lose her mind, but she yells at Freddy to get out when he walks in. The episode ends as they leave. In episode 6, upon returning to the atrium, Freddy notices Monty is skulking around the area, so he decides to hide in Bonnie Ball for a break. No one comes up to Bonnie Ball anymore. It'll be safe. Monty spots him heading up, but opts not to investigate right away. Freddy is immediately sad going in and seeing Bonnie's old stage. Gregory asks what happened to him. I do not know, Freddy says. Cue flashback. The two of us were inseparable right from the start. We did everything together. But one night he went off to Monty Golf and just did not return. No one could figure out where he'd gone to. I never knew what happened to him. I never got to say goodbye. Monty took his place in the band after that. The shot lingers on a wet floorboard. Gregory convinces Freddy to play a round of bowling to cheer him up. They have fun goofing off together. Freddy ruffles his hair and tells him how much Bonnie would have adored him. Right as 3 a.m. hits, they hear footsteps, and Gregory climbs into Freddy's chest just as Monty walks in. Freddy was up here long enough that Monty got suspicious, thinking maybe he found the intruder. Man, I wasn't expecting to see you here of all places. Feeling sentimental, Fazbear? Not particularly. I am merely looking for the intruder. I thought I saw him come up here, but perhaps I was mistaken. Freddy, sweating his ass off, starts to walk past Monty toward the exit. Since you seem to have this location covered, I shall be taking my leave to look elsewhere. You know how I do not enjoy being in here anymore. Monty snorts, suspicious. You know, isn't it odd that every time I see you tonight, it's always right after the kids manage to slip away? I mean, you've been up here for like 40 minutes. I don't think I've ever seen you acting this incompetent. Freddy stops in his tracks and pauses a moment, back turned, growing agitated. I am trying to track him down, just as you are, Monty. But as you know, I am still malfunctioning and have limited power. It is difficult for me to function like this. Meanwhile, I do not see your excuse for not catching him. He walks away and Monty is too stunned to speak and just stands there. Freddy gets a safe distance away from the bowling alley before Gregory comes out. Greg jokes that he's rubbing off on Freddy with that sick burn. Freddy's just relieved that they got out unscathed. They chat about Monty a bit as they walk. Gregory says he scares him the most. Freddy admits they've never really been close. He brings up the time Monty got knocked off the catwalks by the hurricane bucket and broke both his legs. Chica and Roxy made fun of him over it for weeks. The episode ends with the pair laughing as they walk away. In episode 7, Fred and Greg go play in Major's Eyes to kill some time. Gregory takes the left door into the maze and Freddy takes the right. But right after they start, Chica comes in to search for Gregory and starts chasing him through the maze. Freddy makes it back to one of the doors and runs into the control room. He starts pressing random buttons to change the maze around and hopefully cut Chica off. There's some lampshading about how stupid the control scheme is. Gregory is cornered in front of the Monty Golf vent. He crawls in just as Chica reaches him and ends up in the Monty Golf catwalks. He thinks he's safe for about 2 seconds before Monty jumps in out of nowhere and starts chasing him around the labyrinthine catwalks. Gregory has now decided he hates mazes forever and ever. Monty's all like, haha, I got you now, brat, but he doesn't really get very far because he spends most of his time ore farming. Gregory has a shonen anime flashback to what Freddy said about the hurricane bucket and hatches a plan to fill it up. He trips right as he approaches the button to activate it, and Monty is getting closer and closer. It's life or death. Only one can make it out of here alive. Through the Fazwatch, Freddy urges him to do it. We don't talk nearly enough about how low-key bloodthirsty Freddy gets in this game. He does not give a damn. Monty gets knocked to the ground by the bucket and breaks in half. Gregory climbs down to the golf course where Freddy says he'll meet him. Monty starts moving again, barreling toward him in a blind rage. The lights are a dim, sickly green that only illuminate every other step as Gregory runs for his life. Monty knocks him down and gnaws on his leg like a rabid chihuahua. Suddenly, Freddy shows up behind Monty and bludgeons him in the head with a golf club, sending him flying 10 feet away and knocking him out again. Freddy briefly looks down at his hands in horror, but puts his focus on Gregory, who has a brand new gash in his shin. Gregory's low-key too stunned to cry. He's being so brave right now. Freddy carries Gregory to the security office. They take the connected utilidor, which has a first aid station in it. Freddy addresses his wound, noting how unfortunate it is that this has happened twice now. Gregory is much more forgiving with him this time around. He just wants the night to be over already. Leaving the utility tunnel takes them right into the daycare, where Sun is hanging around. Gregory asks about Vanessa, and Sun hints that there is something she guards covetously in the back of the West Arcade, and finding it might give him some clues. Come to think of it, he says, there was another arcade game she forbade anyone from playing. I think she hid it in my little room behind the theater. Weird. Greg remembers what Vanessa said about going to the Glamrock beauty salon, and decides they should look there. He thinks, in that moment, that she really was trying to help. But since they're already in the daycare, the pair goes to the theater to investigate what Sun said first. They find the door to Sun's room behind a movie poster in the hallway, hidden to anyone who isn't searching for something out of place. The room's a mess, and they're like, damn, Sun, you live like this? They poke around and find the Bloom World arcade game. Gregory tries to play it, but it won't respond. The screen only says, you did it. You saved the wizard's apprentice. He shall see the light of dawn. The whole thing makes him uneasy, so they decide to leave. When they emerge, Sun asks if they found what they were looking for. They say that yes, the arcade game was there, but it wouldn't work. He's like, maybe that's a good sign. They thank him for his help and head to the raceway. Episode 8 begins at 4 a.m. Everyone's getting antsy. The only thing of note Ardua finds in the salon is the Princess Quest 1 machine hidden in the back. Gregory beats it out of curiosity. It gives him a message saying, the princess thanks you. 1 out of 3 keys found. Gregory drives on the racetrack for shits and giggles to kill time, when Roxy pulls up and leaps onto the track to get him. Gregory panics and jumps out of the go-kart as it smacks her in the face, crushing the cameras of her eyes and blinding her. She falls into an alcove below the racetrack and doesn't get back up. Gregory feels guilty, but rations that she kind of deserved it. Freddy is heartbroken, but calls it long enough for the two to hightail it out of there. Now Greg needs to find the thing Sun mentioned in the West Arcade. As the duo enters the arcade, the place instantly goes on lockdown. The door to the atrium locks behind them, the overhead lights turn off, and it's eerily quiet. Dread Unit's voice booms that the arcade was not shut down properly and they need to restore the power. DJ Music Man's booming footsteps can be heard around them, his body glinting in the minimal neon lights. The two race around the arcade, turning on the different breakers. Chica knows they're in there but can't see well enough to track them down. In the bathroom encounter, Freddy tries to do the whole "please, this isn't your heart" thing at the DJ, but it falls on deaf ears. Maybe because he's wearing headphones. You ever think about that? Greg's watched Princess Quest 2 in the back hall. It's still on despite the other arcade machines being shut down. It's conveniently right under the final breaker. Freddy turns on the breaker and DJ Music Man comes out to chase them. The overheads flash and flicker as they're chased down the hallway, moving between arcade cabinets. Halfway through, Greg starts to limp and falter from his injury. Freddy loosely grabs him and carries him the rest of the way. They duck into the security office, safe. Freddy sets Gregory down and squats to ask if he's okay. Gregory's eyes stim with tears and flicker in every direction. He can't stop hyperventilating. His skin is cold and clammy. The roots of his hair are a wet, greasy mess. His leg throbs. The texture of his shirt is suddenly wrong. His breath goes faster, more frantic. He thinks he's going to die. Freddy breathes with him until he calms down. Gregory falls against Freddy's chest and starts to cry. They've still got an hour to go, and he just can't do it anymore. Freddy just holds him as the scene fades to black. Cue episode 9. It's now 5 a.m. We open with Gregory playing Princess Quest 2, though his heart isn't really in it. He beats it without issue. The princess thanks you. 2 out of 3 keys found. Gregory is exhausted, starving, and with an hour still to go. Freddy's worried about him. He suggests they find some food in the kitchen, where it's safe and quiet. With Greg in his stomach hatch, Freddy narrowly avoids Chica on the way to the kitchen. She's hunched over near the restaurants, eating garbage and acting almost zombie-like. It's freaking Freddy out a little, but he can't go check on her now. The kitchen doesn't seem to have anything Greg could readily snack on, so Freddy leaves him there to rest while he searches the storerooms. Greg quickly notices the foul stench coming from the garbage compactor. The metal bed is stained with old blood. Though the source is long gone, the faded sense of rot is unmistakable, though he's not sure how he even knows what that would smell like. But he knows one thing for certain. It wasn't just food that was disposed of here. There's footsteps behind him, growing faster. Gregory starts to tell Freddy about his findings and turns around just in time to catch Chica barreling into him, tackling them both into the trash compactor just as Freddy comes back. They scrap and he kicks her in the chest hard enough to shake off her grip, shoving her off of him. Gregory swiftly rolls out of the compactor, notices the activate button, and slams his hand on it. Freddy and Gregory watch dumbfounded as it crushes Chica and drops her into the garbage pit. Neither dare to move for a minute. It's Freddy who breaks the silence. Still solemn, he opens the stomach hatch to reveal that he's found exactly 1 can of pineapples. Gregory gingerly accepts the can and apologizes. He didn't want to hurt Chica. Freddy says it's okay. He was protecting himself. It wasn't his fault. He smiles and it's so very strained. He looks like he wants to cry. They leave the kitchen in tense silence. They pass cardboard cutouts of Bonnie in storage on the way back. Freddy refuses to look in their direction. Greg's mood is somehow even worse now, but at least he won't die of scurvy. I'm just picturing him angrily eating his pineapple while in Freddy's stomach as he's recharging. He's like frickin' Goob from Meet the Robinsons. He's 3 feet tall with the eye bags of a Gulf War veteran. Freddy's getting desperate to cheer him up and give him at least one happy memory to leave with. Or maybe he just needs a distraction. So with nothing else to do until 6, he takes him to Fazer Blast. Vanny is watching from behind a wall as they go in. While they sneak to the atrium, we see Roxy blindly shuffling out of the raceway, sniffing around. She's like, "That's it, now I'm mad," and swearing vengeance on Gregory and everything. She would be the most petty, grudge-holding bitch on this earth. I love you, Roxanne Wolf. Fred and Greg play a game of Fazer Blast together on opposing teams and have a blast. Get it? Vanny can be seen hiding in the background of some shots. When Greg beats him in the game, Freddy is filled with levels of fatherly pride previously only known to Shrimp. And just as their game finishes, the overhead lights cut out. The pair hears clanging near the entrance and looks over to see Roxy ambling towards them, with Chica and Monty at her sides. There's like a dramatic zoom in on Fred and Greg's scared faces, and then the episode ends. Time for episode 10. We're almost at the end. We get right into the action. The animatronics are approaching. Freddy bends down and puts his hands on Gregory's shoulders, trying to etch every inch of his face into memory. "Gregory, listen to me. I need you to run. Climb the far tower and hide in the room across the catwalks. I will find you when it is safe. No matter what, do not look back. Do not watch." "What about you?" There's a long pause. "I will buy us time." So Gregory runs off with nothing but his fast blaster to defend himself with. Freddy pleads with his friends to resist the virus and not hurt Gregory. But as Greg runs, we hear Freddy screaming in the distance as he's attacked. With the overheads off, Fazer Blast is a dark maze that's nearly impossible to navigate. Gregory wipes away tears as he frantically runs. We cut back to Freddy, and Roxy and Chica have him in a sort of headlock. He's a little worse for wear, but not terribly so. Vanny strolls up wielding a Faz wrench. Freddy looks around frantically because he can hear her but not see her. Vanny uses the wrench to reboot him with safe mode off and flood him with the virus. Back to Gregory, he hears stomping from below and looks around. Not watching where he's going, he falls right off the platform he's on and crashes to the ground. He looks up to see Freddy menacingly walking toward him, his eyes aglow in bright purple. Freddy calls to Gregory with a voice dripping in false compassion, trying to lure him out. Tears well in Greg's eyes as he gets up and runs away. He can't bring himself to shoot Freddy with the blaster. Freddy chases him through Phaser Blast, creeping around corners and being generally unsettling. He pleads for Gregory to stop hiding and just come back to him already, to no avail. Finally, Gregory makes it to the tower and climbs the winding stairs. He looks out over Phaser Blast. He can see all the animatronics running around in search of him, but Vanny is nowhere to be seen. Gregory has a bad feeling. He pants and grips the railing. His injured leg is killing him, but he has to keep going. He's not even sure why anymore. He just has to. Upon reaching the top of the stairs, Vanny is waiting for him. She gives him some cryptic speech about how he's the favored one and he's very important and necessary and blah 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 blah. She's very clearly blocking the way to her hideout and it's suspicious as hell. Gregory asks what's so important behind her, and instead of coming up with an excuse, she just charges at him with her knife. Thinking quickly, Gregory shoots her in the eyes with a fast blaster because this is an AU where that actually works on her. The knife grazes his cheek, but he narrowly dodges the brunt of it as she stumbles forward. Greg turns around and kicks her down the frickin' stairs. Everyone in the audience cheers and claps, and Benny's like, "Dude, are you fucking serious?" Common Gregory W. Gregory sprints down the catwalk, slips into the hideout, and barricades the door with an office chair. He looks around. There are security monitors and an old cot. He notices Vanny spray-painted on the wall. Saying the name aloud, there's something scarily familiar about it that sends a chill down his spine. And finally, there in front of him sits the Princess Quest 3 arcade game. The screen lights up as he approaches. This is it. He plays the game as Vanny bangs on the door, screaming for him to stop. Bro has never locked in harder on a video game in his life, and that's saying something. The princess's agonizing wail rings out as the clock chimes 6 a.m. The game is beaten. Its screen reads, 3 out of 3 keys found. You did it. You saved the princess. She shall see the light of dawn. The episode ends. Episode 11 is our season finale. We open with the same screen on the game, zooming out as Gregory turns away from it. Vanny has stopped attacking the door. It's eerily quiet. Gregory goes over to the security console in the room and is able to remotely force a reboot and disable the virus on Freddy now that he's able to connect to the network with the safe mode disabled. He sends the command to verify file integrity and flush out any foreign programming in Freddy's system. I guess. I don't know, okay? Just hold on to that for later. Gregory gingerly opens the door to find Vanny's mask and knife discarded on the ground, as if in offering. He sneaks down from the tower and spots Freddy. He's scared and stays back until Freddy bends down and opens his arms in invitation. It's really him. They have a tearful reunion. The two hear shuffling and look up. Vanessa is awkwardly watching them from 10 feet away, looking disheveled and like she was just crying. Freddy guards Greg protectively. It was you, wasn't it? Gregory asks. Vanessa nods silently, fighting back more tears. But back there in the basement, you let me go. And you told me where to find the first game, too. And thank God you listened, Vanessa smiles. Either of us would be goners if you hadn't. Freddy looks between them, concerned. Vanessa, are you? I was Vanny. Some entity was using my body to... She shudders and shakes her head. But I don't feel it anymore. I know I don't. I don't know how, but I think beating those games set me free. The three leave Phaser Blast together, just as the tangle starts burrowing out of the raceway, causing a quote-unquote earthquake. They sprint to the lobby entrance as everything crumbles behind them, narrowly escaping. To add insult to injury, there are shots of the other animatronics running around in fear only to get trapped in the Pizzaplex. With literally nowhere else to go, they somewhat reluctantly crash in Vanessa's apartment, and it's generally super awkward. Gregory takes a much-needed shower while Vanessa digs out clothes for him and cobbles together breakfast. She debates what to even do with Gregory. Legally, she's supposed to hand him, a homeless, trespassing kid, to the police so they can dump him in the system and wash her hands of this forever. But Freddy would never forgive her, and she wouldn't forgive herself either. She's the only one who understands what's really happened to the both of them. She's responsible for him now, and so they stay. Okay, this is super self-indulgent, but I've always had the thought that the first time they eat together, Gregory gets to the table and it's like that one scene in Erased. You know which one I'm talking about, the one that makes grown men ugly cry. Anyway, Greg immediately passes out on the couch after eating, and Vanessa just stands at the balcony to contemplate life or whatever. Freddy follows her out and is mesmerized by the sights, even if it's just the parking lot outside. The morning sunlight dusts the trees where countless robins sing. He's never been outside before. After a minute, he speaks. He tells Vanessa that it was all Gregory's idea to save her, that if it had been Freddy's choice, he would have killed Vanny if it kept Gregory safe, that it scares himself to admit that he's capable of that kind of violence. He doesn't fully trust that Vanessa's intentions are pure or that she won't turn on them, to which Vanessa sadly agrees. But Gregory wants to believe in her, so Freddy will too. There's this implicit threat that if she screws up with them even once, they're done. Vanessa can't help but laugh because she feels the exact same way about herself. That night, after Gregory and Freddy have gone to sleep, Vanessa goes into the bathroom and turns on the sink. Staring into the water, she thinks of all the things she did as Vanny. She grips the sink and bites her hand to keep from sobbing too loudly. Sinking to her knees, Vanessa finally processes everything and it hits her that they're both truly free. As she cries, her grimace turns into a grin. He's gone, she weeps. I'm free. We're free. A month later, our trio has cobbled a life together. Freddy is our stay-at-home house bear who vacuums the floor for fun. He's been discovering his own interests and hobbies for the first time. He's found he loves cooking. Vanessa got a job working security for a local store, but no one in Utah shoplifts in broad daylight, so it's very boring. Gregory knows there's something eating at her that she's keeping from him, but he doesn't want to pry and make her feel worse. He was scared out of his mind of her at first, but he's coming to trust her more and more. She's actually pretty nice and loving without the whole possession thing. There's a wholesome little scene of the three happily eating dinner together, and then some dark foreshadowing about the mimic, and the season ends. You did it, you survived, we survived, yay! As a quick intermission before we go into season 2, I think now is as good a time as any to share my Vanny redesign. Redesign maybe isn't the best term, because I honestly didn't change a whole lot. The main thing I wanted to accomplish was to make her look low-key disgusting, and I think I did a good enough job. I tried to make her costume more loose and baggy. I'm not super happy with the result, but I didn't want to impact her silhouette too much. It's no longer skin tight though, and that's what matters. Then it went absolutely apeshit, smearing dirt and blood all over the place. I think she deserves to be covered in bloodstains of mysterious origin. Vanny doesn't strike me as a type of possessed, unwilling serial killer to go out of her way to clean the suit each time, and I feel like she'd choose to leave stains there purely for the theatrics of it all. There's being chased around a mall with a knife by a weirdo in a bunny suit, and then there's being chased around a mall with a knife by a weirdo in a bunny suit that's covered in blood. Really makes a world of difference, I think. And if the way she's always skipping and dancing around like an idiot instead of killing you is any indication, Vanny values presentation above all else. But ultimately, the only major change I made to her design is I gave her the Vanny Network mask back. I'm honestly kind of confused on what's going on with her costume, because she uses the Vanny AR mask in Help Wanted when she first gets possessed. Then she makes the Vanny costume and installs the mask's components into her head, I guess? Because she's definitely using the Vanny Network in Security Breach. What is going on? I'm so confused. So I gave her the original mask back with a hood to cover her hair. I honestly just think mask-hood combo is undefeated in any character design. But yeah, she's got a hood now and you can see strands of hair peeking out from it. This gives more blatant hints to her identity and that's that disheveled look. The mask's eyes are always facing in different directions to up that cold, unfeeling stare factor. Lastly, I tweaked her color palette a bit to feel a little more cohesive with better contrast, because I don't think the different fabrics really stood out from each other. Her bow is now a reddish purple color because there was a serious lack of purple in her design. And with that out of the way, I hope you enjoy Vanny, and now on to Season 2. As I said earlier, its outline is a lot less detailed and fleshed out. Season 3 isn't even done, it's just some random bullet points. I don't even give a shit anymore, let's just get into it. So fun fact, I wrote the first half of the season's script while sick with a tonsil infection that sent me to the ER. So if this all sounds like garbage, blame it on my tonsils. To start, there's a bit of a time skip, and it's now around August. We take a minute to catch the audience up on what's happened since then. The 3-star fam has taken up paranormal investigation as a little hobby/side gig. This is where the Scooby-Doo shit comes in. They've become determined to figure out exactly what the entity that controlled Vanessa truly is, and that led them down a Fazbear Entertainment history rabbit hole. Get it. And that led them to becoming true crime girlies. Studying the reported paranormal activity at the old Freddy's locations. Yes, I know how contrived this sounds. Don't worry about it. Their investigations on Freddy's leads them to some scraps of information on the Mimic. Vanessa's issues around the whole thing have been building up and she's finally had enough. Whatever that thing is, she's ready to put it in the grave once and for all. She will fight back because she finally has something worth fighting for. Before we go into episode 2, I want to bring up a bit of world building I came up with mostly as a way to cover my ass. So with how advanced the tech in the FNAF universe is, at this point in time, people owning robotic companions is somewhat uncommon but normalized. Wealthier folk are often seen with their stopbot level intelligence bots accompanying them in public for one reason or another. Personal androids are a luxury item but not something people would seriously gawk at seeing, and AI robots are common in many workplaces. This is solely so Freddy can go out in public without causing a huge problem every single time. People still notice, but he can somewhat blend in. It helps that they like to give him clothes. Freddy enjoys getting to develop his own fashion sense. He loves Hawaiian shirts the most. Vanessa tells people he's her emotional support / shopping bag holder android she had customized to resemble Glamrock Freddy. Freddy just stands there and says beep boop in a panic, says really sell it, and everyone walks away mostly confused. Okay, with that out of the way, on to number 2! 3-Star Fam embarks on a reconnaissance mission to the Pizzaplex to formulate their plan to kill the Mimic. They haven't been back there since that fateful night, and whoever bad they thought the damage was, it's way worse. Greg and Vanessa have fun graffitiing the place when Freddy isn't looking. Vanessa spray paints Manny in places, showing how she's coming to reclaim her persona. Shortly into their journey, they hear someone whistling the Toreador March in the distance. It stops when they make a noise. Whoever it was heard them too. Vanessa draws her weapon, and they venture forward to confront this mysterious person. It's a man who looks no older than 30, despite his sunken eyes and the burn scar on his cheek. He's not hostile, just quietly surprised to see them. He asks what they're doing venturing this deep inside. Vanessa's like, I could ask you the same thing, which he finds amusing. The man introduces himself as Mike. The audience is now either cheering or running in circles or violently punching the screen. This is gonna be so freaking divisive. He explains that he's been keeping tabs on Fazbear Entertainment from the shadows and wants to stop the Mimic. Michael tries to stop the gang from venturing any further because he assumes they're random urban explorers who don't know any better, but they push onward, impressing him with how confidently they walk through the rubble. And as a visual aid, I would like to present my Michael design. I took some liberties with how his zombie physiology works since canon isn't, clear about that. So in this AU, he mostly healed from being scooped after a year or two and looks like a normal dude at first glance. His skin is still pale with a purple undertone, and he has a downright skeletal physique that never changes. His body doesn't age, and he doesn't need to eat, so naturally he's constantly seen eating junk food for the fun of it. His body is littered with burn scars from the pizza sim fire. He wears a cloth mask in public to hide the one on his face. Hair and clothes-wise, I wanted him to look benign and rather plain, so he's rocking a 30-year-old security jacket, and whatever he dug out of Goodwill. I thought it'd be funny if his hair looked extremely similar to Greg's, but I think that's mostly just my excuse for being super uncreative. I'm pretty happy with how it turned out, so I hope you like him. Okay, I meant to have the characters bring this up and forgot to write it in, so real quick. Yeah, Michael survived the pizza sim fire. Michael and Henry were going to die there, but an onlooker saw the smoke coming from the building and called the fire department just in time. Michael collapsed from smoke inhalation as the firemen arrived. Lefty or someone found him and dragged him over to be found by them, wanting him to have another chance. Mike woke up in the hospital and took that as a sign to keep going. And when Fazbear Entertainment reappeared just a few years later, he thought that was the reason he was kept alive and made keeping them in check his new purpose. Anyway, back to the video. Mike insists on tagging along on the adventure because he thinks he knows more than them. His favorite activity is dropping cryptic bits of FNAF lore and not elaborating. They pass a decapitated staff bot and Michael goes, haha, guy looks just like my brother, and keeps walking. He proves to really know his stuff and is helpful when the need arises, but the guy weirds Vanessa the fuck out. They butt heads because Mike is low-key annoying and condescending, but Gregory thinks he's the coolest guy on the planet. Eventually though, Vanessa gets fed up with his Michaelisms and snaps at him, calling out how he expects him to blindly trust him without explaining how he's even connected to this place and why he knows the things he does. But he's like, I could ask you the same thing. The girls are fighting. Vanessa refuses to explain that she was possessed and forced to kill children to a stranger. Michael refuses to explain that his father started this company and killed children to a stranger. Gregory is thinking about Fortnite. Mike pointedly ignores Freddy at every turn and is cold and dismissive towards him. He thinks it's creepy as hell that the robots are so lifelike now. Dude, I'm making him so unlikable, I promise I'm Michael Afton's #1 fan. Please believe me. Anyway, Mike has an immediate soft spot for Greg and they kinda hit it off. But he gets this awful haunted look in his eyes whenever Freddy gets too close to Gregory. They're messing around and Freddy lifts Greg up towards his face and Michael yells and it freaks everyone out. He nearly has an aneurysm when he watches Gregory go into his chest cavity later. Okay, this episode doesn't even have an actual plot, it's just Michael. Five Nights at Michael Afton's, that's FNAF 4, I think. What were they talking about again? The group encounters the animatronics along the way, and each person gets to show off their mad strategy and combat skills and how they avoid them. I don't know how Freddy would deal with them. I feel like he would just go on some Steven Universe ass, this isn't your heart, you can change monologue, until Vanessa pulls him out of the way so she can empty a clip into Chica or some shit. The mission is overall a success. They locate where the mimic's been trapped and propose their trap that freak of nature on concrete plan, and leave the pizzaplex safely. Michael thinks that just encasing it behind solid rock isn't going to be enough. They need a firewall to make sure no one ever goes near it again, and he knows just the place to find one. Vanessa reluctantly lets him into their posse to help with the plan. In episodes 3 and 4, 3-star fam starring Mike go on a harrowing wild goose chase to Murray's costume man to retrieve mixes. The property has been abandoned for half a century at this point, but Michael inherited the title deed from a certain relative a while ago. While exploring, Mike awkwardly asks 3-star fam how they actually know each other. Vanessa lies through her teeth and says Gregory was homeless and snuck into the pizzaplex for food the night the building collapsed, and Freddy was there to shield them from the destruction. With nowhere else to go, she took them both in. Michael's not sure he believes any of that, but doesn't really care enough to pry. He's got his own fair share of secrets, after all. By the end, our group has secured the Mexus machine in the back of Mike's white van that he drives for fun, for some reason. I truly believe he would just own a white van, just for fun. The latter half of episode 4 is spent setting up Mixus and readying the grand plan of attack. Michael is officially a secondary character who checks in on our trio often, but they're not really on Thanksgiving guest grounds just yet. Okay, lock in, because episode 5 is where shit gets real. In the crisp September air, they go back into the pizzaplex to take care of the mimic, once and for all. Vanessa has low-key been shaking the entire way through. Gregory insists they go with their plan that has the greatest chance of success. The warmer Greg distracts the mimic in a corner and escapes through a vent once they've put the concrete wall in place. The others are reluctant, but without any better option, they go for it. The mimic is sealed away without a hitch. The plan goes perfectly, until Gregory makes his escape through the vent. The mimic catches him as he's about to enter. He barely gets away as its clawed hand tears at his midsection, raking and rending the flesh of his stomach. His scream echoes through the basement. As he bleeds, Gregory crawls desperately through the vent and into Freddy's arms. Michael presses a rag to the wound as Freddy holds him, utterly useless and whispering sweet nothings. Watching the tender way Freddy cradles his child, something inside Michael shifts. Also, Bright Eyes by Art Garfunkel is playing in this scene. I don't fucking care, dude. Vanessa can only stand there, frozen in fear, watching the way Gregory's face twists in pain. It's a look no child should ever have, and yet one she's seen countless times, through no fault but her own. Another child is dying in front of her, and she can't will herself to move. She just watches her boy bleed, like she watched so many others, afraid to step in, afraid to fight back. She's just as she was back then. She has not changed at all. They rush out of the pizzaplex like the hounds of hell are after them. Gregory is fading in and out and growing delirious from blood loss. Vanessa drives him to the ER, trailing behind Mike's van. The episode ends with Vanessa watching the doctors wheel Gregory off to the ER. Enter episode 6. Vanessa is at Greg's bedside. He's asleep, but will make a full recovery. Gregory, can you hear me? I don't know if you can hear me. I'm sorry, she weeps. Michael and Freddy join her. Freddy was let in as an emotional support android. Everyone is blaming themselves for letting this happen. Freddy should have been stronger. He should have shielded Gregory from everything, back then and now. Michael let a bystander get hurt in this mess that was supposed to be his alone to burden. The way Vanessa holds Gregory's hand is so achingly familiar to him. She's taking it the hardest. Vanessa wasn't cut out for this at all. She's a failure of a guardian. She's a failure of a person. She's no less evil than Vanny. The thought of losing Gregory pushes all the things Vanessa never said to the forefront of her mind. The things she's been keeping from her family, and isn't that a word, eat away at her until she's skin and bone. A resolve grows within her. There is one secret that she will not die with, one that is not hers to keep. She has to tell him the truth. 3 days meander by in the hospital until Gregory is cleared to go home. Everyone notices Vanessa's been acting off, but no one wants to be the first to bring it up. After things have settled back down at the apartment, Vanessa sits Gregory and Freddy down and tells them the truth about Gregory's past. They were both taken over by the Mimic, just like she was. Under the alias of Dr. Rabbit, Gregory would help Vanny follow the Mimic's bidding by hacking the Pizzaplex's systems while she did the dirty work. It was his program that caused the animatronics to go haywire night after night, including Freddy. The only reason Gregory's even alive is because of a parameter he'd already installed in Freddy, to protect Gregory no matter what. That night at the Pizzaplex, Vanny activated the virus to go after Gregory, and Vanessa suspects the conflicting commands were what caused Freddy to crash and remain himself. She tells him she doesn't know how he was suddenly freed from the Mimic's influence, but when it found out, it forced her to get him back under its control under threat of both their lives. Vanessa spares the gory details, the ones the two would infer on their own. That they each have killed and purged the memory. That every inch of this home they've built is stained with innocent blood. She can't bear to say it. She doesn't know who Gregory was before this all started. She's just as clueless on his past as he is. She barely even knew him when they were working together. But in every fragmented little moment she had as herself, he was always on her mind. And Gregory is angry. She knew how much it was killing him inside. having no memory of who he was. He can't recall a single damn thing about himself. His school, his house, his friends, his fucking parents. What happened to them? How long was he alone for? Did they choose to leave him behind? Were they out there looking for him now? And Vanessa just kept all of this to herself for months, and for what? He hides himself in his room and doesn't come out. Through the walls he can hear Vanessa crying all night. And on that cheerful note, it's episode 7 time! Woohoo! Episode 7! Gregory is giving Vanessa the cold shoulder, and Vanessa is miserable. His words to her are all laced with passive-aggressive references to secret keeping, and he goes to his room the minute she gets home from work. Freddy is quiet. He gets stuck just staring at his hands, at the chipped paint of his claws. Gregory's still amicable with him, but isn't ready to open up to him either. Michael comes by to check on them, sees how tense the place is, and is like, "Whoa, did I pick a bad time?" No one wants to talk about what happened. Alone, Mike is concerned and asks Vanessa what's going on. She half lies and says she told Greg something bad but important about her past that she was keeping from him, and he's mad she hid it for so long. Mike is empathetic. He thinks she did the right thing in revealing something she's ashamed of, and if they're able to move past it, the two of them will come out even stronger. He says that whatever she did in the past, it doesn't have to define who she is now. Gregory obviously cares about her, and he surely sees how broken she is by this. He's a good kid. Sooner or later, he'll come around. Mike never explains where he got that wisdom from. Vanessa can't bring herself to ask. A tense week passes by in their little apartment. Vanessa finds a new hit for a paranormal investigation run and drags them out on a little adventure, desperate to break the tension. It goes about as well as you'd expect. Absolute zero group cohesion. Vanessa's tired, Gregory's pissed, and Freddy's just sad. Gregory starts to get random flashbacks of his life. A house with a swing set in the yard, a game console for Christmas, kids at school, the counselor's office, neon lights in the dark. He keeps it to himself. Episode 8 is a bit of a light-hearted filler one. Freddy takes Gregory on a robot father, formerly evil son bonding trip to get them out of the house. They go fishing or something. I'm directly invoking that Keystone Motel episode of Steven Universe where everyone's low-key pissed at each other and they go on a road trip to hide it, because that one was fire. Relaxing in the wilderness, the two get to talking about the feelings they've been sorting through. They have both been ruminating on the whole Freddy was reprogrammed to protect Gregory thing. Freddy's been pondering the existence of all his emotions, trying to decipher if the love he has for his animatronic friends was only baked into him, and what that would mean for him, what that would mean for Gregory. Gregory is worse off. Does Freddy only hang out with him because he's been mind-controlled this whole time? Will he change his mind now? Can he? Did anything they have ever count if it was all done by force? Would Freddy have chosen to love someone like him? Freddy makes sense of it then and there. His systems were flushed when they freed Vanessa. They checked a million times and there was no trace of foreign programming, so everything from that night onward at least was on purpose. Even if he was only programmed to care about his fellow animatronics, even if that love is not real, Gregory and Vanessa fall outside of that. Freddy did that all on his own. The answer is so obvious to him. Loving Gregory is a conscious decision he makes every time he looks into his eyes. Freddy is staying by choice, and that's all that matters. Time for episode 9, yay! There's another Scooby-Doo type mission and Michael tags along for it this time. Mike has found that he really enjoys spending time with this fucked up little family. He's been isolating himself for basically his entire life for one reason or another. It's nice to be around an actually loving family for a change, even if things are strained right now. He keeps coming up with excuses to be around them, but they haven't really caught on yet, so shh. Something happens in their investigation that forces Gregory to really consider Vanessa's perspective on the issue, something that he's been trying not to think about. The reason why she wanted to hide the truth from him, the way this affected her too, the ways in which they are similar. He's acting slightly less angry at her now, so their synergy is better. Vanessa's trying to hide the desperate hope in her eyes that things are getting better. At home before bed, she nearly knocks on his door, but thinks better of it. She leaves her bedroom light on. That night, while Freddy is off in rest mode, Gregory can't sleep. Every time he closes his eyes, another memory assaults him. The happy ones hurt worse somehow. He can't take it anymore. Gregory opens Vanessa's bedroom door. She asks what's wrong a little too quickly, poorly hiding the hope in her eyes. He stands there staring at the floor for a long moment before a sniffle betrays him. Wordlessly, Vanessa opens her arms. They talk. Gregory's realized how awful it was for her to keep that secret, but his trust is still betrayed. Vanessa reveals she hid it because she only wanted him to be happy. She didn't want anyone to ever feel the way she's felt, to remember what she remembers, especially not him. It was wrong, she knows it was wrong, but she did it because she loves him. She can finally admit that now. Gregory pauses, stares into space for a minute, and then buries his face in her chest and cries all over again, because he loves her too. Found family is a drug and I'm taking it straight into my motherfucking veins like my life depends on it. Okay, time for episode 10, our season finale. It's not a very good one, but I'm really tired. With his memories slowly returning, Gregory is getting desperate to understand his past and pressures Vanessa to help him. She's super reluctant and actively trying to resist the instinct to climb up again, but it's the least she can do for him. They find the missing persons report his old school filed and find the address to his childhood home, which of course Gregory demands they visit despite Vanessa's warnings. The house is surrounded with police tape, but they're able to get in. Everything from the pictures on the walls to the way the sun shines through the window makes his chest ache with familiarity. He stuffs a few belongings into a bag, photos, toys, and clothes that still fit. There's a dusty copy of the Freddy Fazbear virtual experience by the TV. He stares at it for a long time. Going upstairs, Gregory runs ahead of Freddy and Vanessa as they frantically yell for him to stop and wait. He runs into the master bedroom without thinking. The other two catch up and find him standing there completely frozen. On the floor are two chalk outlines. Okay, that's honestly where this season ends. I'm out of juice here. Let's see. On the way home, Gregory starts to recall frequenting the Pizzaplex before he got possessed. He remembers a girl he used to hang out with all the time. He remembers her name was Cassie. He wonders whatever became of her. End season. Holy shit, we're almost done. Season 3 is just some random bullet points held together with duct tape. I don't know what I'm doing anymore. It's March again, 1 year since the night of security breach. Season 3 opens on a flashback to Cassie's birthday at the Pizzaplex. She's helping a staff member set up the table for her party. It's clear they personally know each other. She's waiting patiently for her friends to show up, but no one does. The employee tells her to go off and have fun in Roxy Raceway, and they'll come find her when her friends show up. Roxy happily plays with her alone. Cassie gets her makeup done and is having a fun time, but then Roxy has to leave to see other guests. When Cassie returns to the atrium, expecting her friends to have surely arrived at that point, she's all alone. Not a single person showed up. Cassie cries under the table, feeling awful, when suddenly a boy comes up and offers her a tissue. His name is Gregory. It turns out he's in the other 5th grade class at their school, and they just never really had the chance to meet. He invites her to come play with him. She smiles and follows him with her back to the audience. The shot fades to her standing in front of a bulletin board at school, staring at something. She sighs and walks away, and we see she was looking at Gregory's missing poster. It blows slightly in the wind, and there's a hard cut to black. Ruin takes up the first, 3 episodes and plays out pretty closely to the game, although the Phaser Blast chase is cut since Freddy's, not there. I refuse to believe the prototype is a second Freddy because it makes no sense. Hope this helps. We do not see 3-star fam at all, and the audience is probably really confused. Cassie is anxious and desperate to find Gregory, now that he's been missing for over 2 years. Cassie finds Chica's voice box and gives it back to her before she shuts back down. It's made very clear that rebooting an animatronic with the Phaz wrench clears out the mimic virus, so Eclipse and Roxy are good by the end. Cassie notices all the repair stations and work that seems to have been going on around the Pizzaplex. She notes that her dad was one of the technicians sent to try and fix the place up before the project was suddenly abandoned, after he never came home. Putting on the Vanny mask in the bowling alley projects what the place looked like before the retheme when Bonnie was still around, turning it into a neon mausoleum. Bonnie and Freddy's shared laughter echoes through the walls. Cassie finds Bonnie in the back of the bowling alley and weeps, projecting her feelings on her missing father onto him, the relief of finding him and the grief of knowing she's too late. The wet floor sign bots watch her with care. She vows to return for him as soon as her mission is done. Gregory was always great with tech. They can save him. The whole mimic confrontation happens. Roxy shields Cassie, and the scene changes over to 3-star fam starring Michael, crowded around Vanessa's laptop with maps and blueprints strewn everywhere. They're frantically trying to connect to Cassie, and as soon as they connect to her, they decide they need to get to the Pizzaplex immediately. Mike pushes the speed limit in his van while Gregory guides Cassie through the bunker. The scene flips back and forth between the two parties until Cassie gets into the elevator. Gregory is trying to explain what's going on over the speaker, but is cut off mid-sentence. He doesn't hear what happens next, but the audience watches as the elevator drops. Roxy's voice is heard in the dark as the episode cuts out. Episode 4 is the aftermath of all that. The 3-star fam rushes to get to the raceway. Gregory is freaking out, Michael and Freddy are trying to stay calm and focused. Vanessa is shaking with hatred for that wretched thing. Somehow Roxy's gotten Cassie out of the elevator and is carrying her out. Cassie is too hurt to walk far, but acts as Roxy's eyes. The mimic slipped away under their noses and is now out there on the loose. He's gonna show up at fucking Faz Fest, I guess, whatever. The two groups reunite in the middle and everyone cries with relief. Roxy sits Cassie down, supporting her. Gregory runs up to her and Cassie is so hurt and confused all she can think to do is sock Gregory in the face. Gregory falls over and Cassie collapses next to him and pulls him into a crushing embrace. "Where have you been?" she cries. She's pissed at him for falling off the face of the earth, but so happy he's alive. Roxy is still low-key beefing with Gregory, and he apologizes for blinding her. She apologizes for trying to kill him. They're not besties yet, but they have a truce. Freddy just hugs her with the biggest smile. Roxy lets him, far longer than she usually would. They all go home. Roxy lives with 3-star fam now and goes through a pseudo-domestication arc to get her to stop wanting to chew on Gregory's head. She finally calms down when they're able to fix up her eyes. And our outline ends here because this is supposed to be a canon retelling and anything going forward would just be fanfic. So, the end. I would just end up adapting whatever happens in the next game into the second half of this season, I think. This project was immense fun to work on, and it was an interesting experience reimagining this story into another medium. Maybe I'll make a follow-up when the next game is out, but that's definitely a ways away. Feel free to leave a like and let me know your thoughts, or maybe how you would handle a FNAF adaptation, because I'd love to hear it. I don't know when or if I'll be back with another video, and it might not be FNAF related, but if you enjoyed the video and want to hear more from me, go ahead and subscribe. All art featured in this video can be found on my Tumblr and Bluesky in the description. Thank you so much for watching all the way through, it really means a lot to me. Hopefully I'll see you again soon. 3 out of 3 keys found. You did it. You saved the princess. She shall see seashells. She shall see the fuck. She shall see. Oh my god. She will see the light of it. She shall see.